And here we are live on a Wednesday night, a Tuesday night. Sorry, I jumped ahead a day.
It's all melding or
Yeah,
merging
I'm
pop
confused.
here.
Yeah, exactly. One of the funnier things that I saw today on television with all the news channels, people doing their shows from home. I was watching CNBC between 4 and 5 o'clock, and I wish I had my. I was on the phone while I was watching this, and I wish I had my phone free because they threw it to one of the reporters who was at home, and so the anchor's in the process of tossing to her. They take the shot of the reporter sitting there, and who comes behind her but the cleaning lady? So she starts. You see the reporter just like go, shoo, get out of the shot. So that was sort of a nice little breath of comic relief, I guess. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Tuesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. A lot of severe weather going on tonight in the Middle Mississippi Valley.
Right. A
I'm
lot of
sorry,
those
the whole Mississippi
concerns.
Valley, from the Gulf
A lot of
Coast
flash
all the way
concerns,
up.
hail and high winds and tornadoes and all kinds of mayhem out there in the heartland of the nation.
And at least where we were, we managed to sandwich ourselves in between clouds. There were clouds down in the southern half of Pennsylvania to southern New Jersey and points south. There were clouds out to the east of. It was clear when I woke up this morning. There was actually some rain over the east end a little bit before, a little right around daybreak. But there were clouds out to the east. But we managed to kind of get right into that very small sweet spot that showed up today.
And it turned out to be a sweet day. This was even better than the day we had back on what was it, Sunday? No, Saturday. Saturday we had a break in the gloom, but this was a beautiful day, Joe. I mean, hardly any cloud cover, at least where I am, through the course of the midday and the afternoon hours. And now, after this lovely day, here we go back into the gloom again for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and possibly even a part of Saturday as well.
Yeah, I'm going to try to be optimistic for Saturday and the daytime on Sunday. That that they should be okay. I thought, yeah, maybe there might be some clouds that'll linger early on Saturday, but just on the standpoint of rain, I'm kind of thinking that probably will be all right for Saturday daytime and for Sunday. But then we got another weather front that comes with some showers and storms maybe for Sunday night. Also, I noticed, by the way, on the long range, uh, looks like we might flip a switch in about 10 days if the models are showing maybe a ridge coming into the east and this whole blocky pattern going away or at least relaxing for a bit.
Well, I have not had a chance to look yet today, but I do know that yesterday on the Climate Prediction Center's 8 to 14 day outlook through the 11th of May, they had our part of the country in a 70% probability of below normal temperatures, which made my eyes bulge out.
Yeah.
I can't believe that may be the story right on into the beginning of May.
Well, yeah, this would probably be more, after the 10th or the 11th, but let's get there first. We'll see if it holds up. But if the warm, at some point, the switch is going to get thrown, and we're going to go, you know, we're going to suddenly have a day of, temperatures in the 80s. It's just always,
Well,
it happens like that most of the time.
it was like what we were talking about yesterday, where again we go through a prolonged period of unseasonably chilly weather, and then all of a sudden, as to put it in your words, a flitch, a
Right,
switch be flipped,
right. You bribe a
or a flip,
dust,
or
a
a
dust a
flip,
bribe.
and boom, it'll go right into summertime.
Exactly. Oh God. So severe weather busy tonight. I brought up lightningmaps.org showing real-time lightning strikes, Joe. There's a ton of them. Well, at least there were 46 lightning strikes in the last minute. There's actually two areas of thunderstorms that are going on at the moment. The storms that are you just saw a few lightning strikes there in and around Baton Rouge. And then as we go up to the north, there's a second separate line that is running from right over Chicago, south and west into parts of Missouri, south of between Kansas City and St. Louis. So we've got a fairly active round of severe weather tonight. And on tornadohq.com, a great site, by the way, we have it gives you all the working tornado watches, all the working tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. I'm just reloading. And as here we are at 7:04 Eastern, 6:04 Central Time. Three working tornado warnings are up right now in parts of Arkansas. Here. You can see where there's Fayetteville, Rogers, Fayetteville, Fort Smith. There are three working tornado warnings there. I think that's Arkansas. Hang on, let me just. Yeah, that is. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of getting a little confused. They don't. You can't see the full geography here with regards to the border, so I'm having a bit of a tough time making this out. Let me widen it out. Maybe that'll help. Okay, I'm sorry. So let me correct that. There is one working tornado warning on the Arkansas side, and there are two in the Oklahoma side. If you scroll down, you can see here the tornado warnings that we've had up today. Actually, up until a couple of hours ago, there really wasn't a whole lot of activity, but suddenly we're starting to see all these tornado warnings that are popping up. And remember, folks, if you're watching this on a replay, it's 7:05 Eastern Time is what you're seeing on the screen. So be sure to go to your local National Weather Service forecast office page to get the latest weather information regarding severe weather. And you can do that by going to weather.gov.
Of
Yes, exactly.
yes.
So let's take a look. I want to bring this radar up, get it a little wider. You see the second line, Joe, down in Louisiana. That had produced a couple of tornadoes earlier, but now it's that northern line that is swinging east. So fairly busy night ahead in the land of severe weather. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
Um, I'm going to bring up SPC's convective outlook for tonight. Moderate risk, where we've got those tornado warnings working, Joe, right now at 7:07 Eastern Time. We've got a moderate risk of severe weather, northeast Texas on up through eastern Oklahoma, and a small sliver of western Arkansas.
And we probably are going to see that activity continue to swing eastward, even though it's going to be past sundown out there in the next couple of hours. These things are still potent enough that they're going to carry over. The strength is going to carry over on into at least the first half of the night tonight. So just because the sun is going down and the diurnal influence, as we say, will begin to diminish, these storms are loaded for bear, and so they're going to continue right on through probably a good, at least the first half, and maybe a good hunk of the overnight hours tonight.
And a 40, here's the tornado risk, which is at 30%. Oh, come on. There you go. They just updated the map. Wait, I can't see. I'm sorry. The tornado risk is at 10%. My eyes are.
Say, I've never seen a 30%.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. It flashed on me, and I guess I didn't see it. I'm just trying to make it a little bigger. There we go. So yeah, 10%, and a larger area of 5% that goes all the way up into southern Wisconsin. So it's a fairly active front here. 40. This is what I was looking at before. Was the wind? 45% probability of 60-mile-an-hour winds or higher in that moderate risk zone, and you even have 15% going all the way up into southern Wisconsin. That's a pretty wide area of severe weather to have to deal with. You've got the southern part of this that's down in Louisiana and cutting down offshore. And then you got that northern line that's swinging down. SBC talked about, I saw in one of their posts earlier, with regard specifically to Dallas Fort Worth, as you mentioned, Joe, these storms are going to hold up for a while after sunset, and they were talking about the threat for Dallas Fort Worth to come probably during tonight as this line just blossoms out. Here's a wide bit of a wider view, but you can see that southern end of that line down to about Oklahoma City, probably going to impact Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and that's all swinging to the east. And I'm thinking, why do they have these? This radar is a little behind. It might be about 30 minutes behind because it's not really picking up much I'm just going to try this again. Let me see if I freshen it up because it looks like it's a little bit off.
It's interesting that that line looks like in Missouri, looks like you could take the interstate from St. Louis to Kansas City and be underneath that line constantly. A very potent line of showers and storms, indeed.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. Now here it is. Let me take it out on this one. This is a better view. That line looked a little. Yeah, see the storms are a little bit further along on this one. I just want to see why they have the tornado warning up. Let me just make sure I got the right information, Joe, because sometimes I may have. Yeah, I mean these are tornado warnings that were put up. Okay, the Oklahoma ones for Tulsa and Tulsa, Osage, Rogers, Maine counties. Those are recent. Then you've got in Kansas and Missouri um, were 13 minutes ago. Again, then I was at 7:10. I guess I must have misspoke when I saw on the map to see it in Arkansas. It's actually on the Kansas City, Kansas, Missouri side, so it's a little bit further to the north. I just apologize for the confusion here.
Well, the tornado watch is in effect until 11 p.m. 11 p.m. Central Time, midnight our time, across a good swath of eastern Oklahoma and northwestern sections of Arizona. And the tornado watch area is flanked to the southwest and to the northeast by a couple of severe thunderstorm watches. And those go into central Oklahoma, a small sliver of Texas, and also further again to the north and east up toward Missouri. So, as I just noted, this line is loaded for bear. And in some cases, where the tornado watch is posted, some of these could be very, very significant. So something to watch in the coming hours if you're down in that vicinity and if you know anybody who is in that area.
It's a long way to go, by the way, to get those showers and storms from where they are now with this developing system and to bring them here into the east. There's really not a whole lot going on. There was an area of rain with that disturbance that we talked about last night coming down from the Great Lakes. That gradually weakened as it moved southeastward. There's some remnants left this evening over parts of Chesapeake Bay with a few light showers, and much of that's probably aloft. But that's where the warm front's going to start to set up here. And between that and the fact that we're going to be going into a south southeast flow, get ready for some clouds to roll in. I also thought that it might get a little bit breezy, especially along the coast, starting later tomorrow and particularly on Thursday, and that's going to have an impact on temperatures until this whole front can get here. And we may not even see any real rain until late in the day on Thursday.
Right. My wife wanted to fertilize the lawn tomorrow, and she says it's not good if it rains. And I said, well, there may be a couple of spritzes or a sprinkle or a light shower here and there, but much of the day will be dry. I said, if you want an absolutely dry day from start to finish, you may have to wait until Saturday or Sunday. So
Yeah.
maybe it's a good that she may try it tomorrow.
So I found this on the SPC's website. This is the HREF model, and this actually shows what the model sees as clouds. And they just it's a very straightforward map. They just basically define it as excuse me, as blue, low clouds in blue, mid-level clouds in green, and the higher cloud tops in that reddish brown. So if you look at the system here, now this was back at earlier today. So I'm going to just move it along and bring it up to about the present time. So this is what the model sees the satellite looking like right now, and we can compare that to the current satellite, which you see here. I mean, it's not really that far off. It's not going to get the breaks in the cloud cover as well as reality shows that there are still some breaks in the clouds going on across the mid-Atlantic states and back into parts of the Ohio Valley. But it gets the general idea of what it's going to look like. And I just bring this up because when we move into, there we go. So we'll move it along. And you can see what happens during tonight in the northeast, which is mostly clear, but you start to see these clouds to the south kind of come in tomorrow. And then we have more clouds developing. It maybe not, there might be some breaks, but as the day wears on, clouds are going to really take hold. That's going to hold temperatures down. And if you notice out to the west, across Ohio, Pennsylvania, this is at 2 a.m. Thursday morning. There's your front, okay, at 2 a.m. Thursday morning. It's going to take virtually the entire day for the showers and thunderstorms with that. And here we are at 12Z Thursday, and they are really pretty much in this kind of very narrow band that's going to be moving east. So you got to wait for that stuff to get here, and then it's going to probably take about the entire part of Thursday night into early Friday to get them out of the way. So, Joe, if you wind up getting some decent convection in here, somebody's going to wind up with an inch or two of rain out of this when it goes by.
Absolutely. And it looks like the day for us to really get drenched here is probably going to be Friday as opposed to, let's say, tomorrow and Thursday. And yeah, I think in the late night hours of Thursday night on into Friday, we could see some thunderstorm activity. I don't think it's going to be of the potency of what we're seeing right now down in the Mississippi Valley, but there will be some rumbles around from time to time late on Thursday night into Friday. And anyone who is underneath will probably get a hatful of rain. And we all
Yeah.
a hatful of rain translates into about an inch or more.
Is that the official definition of a hat full of rain?
A hatful of rain, and also, of course, another size variance here is measuring hail. We have the pea-sized hail, the golf ball-sized hail, but of course, there's also the teacup-sized hail.
The teacup. Is that,
Right,
is that what you said? The teacup. Okay, I just wanted to make that
teacup.
clear.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to make that clear. So here's what it looks like aloft, folks. This is a very potent shortwave that is dropping down into Iowa and strengthening as it moves eastward. That's a wrapped up upper low, and then the whole trough. It's almost V-shaped. It's not broad. It's kind of tight, and this is why you're going to see this narrow band of heavy rain that's going to move through, and it takes forever to get here because of the fact that you've got this southerly flow aloft, and the front is fighting that, so it can't really make a lot of eastward progress until the upper trough swings east. And this is what it's going to look like Thursday morning, where you've got this upper low wrapped up in Michigan, and this sharp trough, deep jet that goes all the way down into the northeast Gulf of Mexico, and then shoots all the way up the eastern seaboard, up the Appalachians. So you got to wait for that whole trough to just kind of slide. That's the other thing here, Joe. It's not lifting really like an arm that sort of swings around and then lifts up into eastern Canada. It kind of gets this neutral tilt, and then it just starts marching very slowly eastward, which is going to the prolong the period of clouds and then the rain, and then slow the improvement down. It's going to have to wait for this whole trough to move offshore, and it may not do that until Saturday morning.
Right, and even on Saturday, Joe, I think now you want to play the optimist. I'll play the devil's advocate, the pessimist here. On Saturday, I think there's still going to be a lot of moisture hanging around here, left over from Friday, and also we're not quite in a zone of dry northwesterly winds. We're in kind of a cyclonic curvature type pattern in the northeast, which will loan itself to I mean, there may be some breaks of sun on Saturday. Not saying that you won't see the sun on Saturday, but we may have some lingering precipitation, a couple of showers early. Then we may try to dry out a bit in the midday, but then that instability may come back and throw a couple of more showers our way later in the day Saturday. So, yeah, I don't honestly see a great looking Saturday for the out of doors. Sunday of right now, if I were given the choice, I think Sunday will be the better of the two weekend days from this vantage point. I still think a lot can happen
Yeah.
over the next 4 days.
Well,
So
the orientation of that trough being north south and like a sharp V, without it lifting up to the northeast of Canada, if it's going to march along straight east, yeah, it's going to delay. It's going to delay improving weather conditions. Meanwhile, as far as severe weather is concerned, for tomorrow, as everything starts to move to the east, The severe weather outlook tomorrow is not quite as bullish as what we see for today, where it's got slight risk from southeast Louisiana northeastward up into much of Georgia with marginal risk heading up into the Carolinas. And then on day 3, which is the period from this is Thursday into Friday, you see the general thunderstorm risk is pushed up to New York City and southern New York. Marginal risk eastern North Carolina into South Carolina and also in through much of central Florida. And just a quick check of the day 4 to 8 time frame. Looks like potential too low for day 4, predictability too low for days 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that's going to probably come from the next weather system that we may have to deal with later Sunday night and Monday. So let's take a look, Mr. Rayo, at where this is all headed as far as what you were saying with regards to improving weather conditions on Saturday or not. Going to take the simulated. Let's bring the GFS. And these maps, by the way, folks, as always, courtesy of tropicaltidbits.com. Your go-to site for all the weather models you could possibly think of. But here we go. So this is what the GFS is looking at. The infrared satellite kind of exaggerates it a little bit. It's not going to pick up the low clouds very well, but you see that kind of this very narrow looking band here. This is Thursday afternoon. So this is where it's right in here that you're going to wind up with your showers and storms that are going to be pushing eastward. So we're just going to have to wait. Much of our area is going to have to wait till later in the day. Then it swings on through. Friday morning, that area kind of pushes out to the east, but you still have that upper trough to deal with, and then you start to see, another round of higher cloud tops with maybe some scattered showers Friday afternoon and evening. And then on Saturday, I don't know, Jody, you sort of see Saturday morning, the trough is offshore, there's kind of a low that's out to the east, and then you've got what looks like a warm front that's moving across the lakes. So, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more complicated with regards to cloud cover on Saturday, and then maybe Sunday winds up being a bit better. But here comes your next weather system for Sunday night. Looks like we could get some showers and storms with that, with another low and cold front that'll be moving through.
Right. We're all hoping and waiting, and you said in about 10 or 12 days, maybe the switch will be thrown and we'll have some ridging and actually get more than just a day of nice weather. And hopefully that'll be the case because this is ridiculous. The ratio between nice days and not so nice days is something like 2 to 5. You get a couple of nice days versus like 5 lousy days, and we're not even getting those 2 in a row. We're getting, as I said, we had a decent day on Saturday. We had a very nice day today, and everything in between has been anything but.
No, I know. So here's how the upper air looks. The full U.S. view. We could take it beyond 48 hours. So there's your deep trough. It's actually even deeper on the GFS than we saw on the HREF model on SPC's site. A really wrapped up cutoff low in Indiana and Ohio. And then you see how the trough, as I said, it just kind of marches east rather than lifting up into Canada. So you got to wait for it to get out of the way. And it's not going to do that until later in the day Saturday. Little bit of a break on Sunday, a little bit of a ridge builds in, and then here comes the next short wave moving southeast across the Great Lakes and swinging through the northeast. And then that goes by, and then you got another short wave trough along about Wednesday that drives into the east, and then yet another one that follows going into next weekend. And it's probably after that maybe you start to see, the pattern trying to relax a little bit. But it certainly says on this 18Z run, Joe, at least through the next 10 days, it's still going to be one after another after another.
Yes. And what can you say? I mean, we take the good days when we get them. We had one today, and maybe over the weekend we'll get another. But it looks like right now, after tonight, we're going downhill weather-wise. And it's not so much that tomorrow is going to be terrible, as we just mentioned. There might just be a shower or spritz here and there, but much of the day should be dry. A couple of more showers on Thursday. It's really Thursday night and Friday.
Right. Here's your front. Here's Thursday night. The
Yeah.
GFS is fairly bullish. Even the the GFS I think is a little bit overdone to an extent with some of the stuff that it's trying to show with the warm front going up, but it matches up fairly well with the NAM model for a Thursday night. This is Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m., where you've got rain into eastern Pennsylvania and heavy rains getting in here, by Thursday evening, Thursday night into Friday morning. That area pulls out. Still some leftover showers because, again, that upper trough has to play on through. And then finally, you start to see maybe, as you said, Joe, Saturday morning, certainly some lingering clouds into the afternoon. You got this weather system moving across the Great Lakes that might uh, send a few clouds along. Then on Sunday, here comes the next one. This is Sunday evening, low pressure in western Pennsylvania with a trailing cold front. So maybe there'll be some showers and storms with that. At least that one, at least, Joe, looks like it comes through, if the timing is right, Sunday night, and then it's gone by Monday morning. And since this one wants to lift up more than rather than go straight east, we could see improvement Monday into Tuesday. And then here we go. By Tuesday evening, we've got more showers with another front and another low going by.
Yep.
It doesn't stop.
Wash, rinse, and repeat.
Pretty much wash, rinse, and repeat. So that I'm going to bring us back up full screen. I don't know about you. I'm a little tired today. Are you tired today?
Not really. I was just happy that the tractor mower, after charging the battery for 5 hours, that it actually started up. So I did my first bit of mowing today, and
Well, mowing is good.
it's you go round and round and round and round. It's what are you going to do? It's but I tell you what, Joe, an artifact of the fact that it's been so unusually chilly this month. I don't have a. I'm surrounded by trees. Some of them are 50 to 75 feet high. I haven't seen a single tree with any significant budding taking place now. We're just a few days from May. It really is kind of depressing. I know that sometime down the road, everything is going to just explosively suddenly appear, but right now the trees are about as bare as they were in January or February, or at least up here. I know down where you are, it's a little bit milder and things are more in bloom right now.
Yeah, here it's Long Island is strange because when you go toward the North Shore where the sea breeze is a little less of a player, it blooms here faster. Everything's actually opened up quite a bit here on the North Shore, but when you go down toward the South Shore, this is where you run into problems with the sea breeze, or it keeps things really cool, and there is less, but it takes longer for everything to play out.
Right.
I'm actually a bit surprised at how much blooming we have up here. But indeed, because I've been here in some springs where you got to wait till almost the middle of May for everything to open up, especially in
Well,
some of the colder springs.
that's going to be probably the case up here. I mean, we have nothing so far. The forsythia did come out though. That was nice to see. But I mean, as far as the trees are concerned, they're plain barren. And I say to myself, why couldn't they be this way? Let's say in October when they start falling on my lawn and I have to clean all that stuff up.
Yeah, when you go before the gates of heaven, where you wind up residing in heaven should correspond exactly to according to how many bags of leaves that you've bagged in the course of your life. Because up until this past year, it was basically about 150 to 160 bags of leaves a year.
Well,
Because it's so expensive to get rid of the leaves now. They charge you like $400 or $500 to come and clean up your yard.
well, you know what I do? I just on a once or even twice a week with the tractor mowers, beginning in September, I just mulch those leaves into the lawn and let them do whatever they're going to do down there. But I spent a more years than I care to think about when I lived down on Long Island in Levittown when our trees shed and like you've done, bag them and just leave them out in the front, you know, hoping that it'll be taken away by the garbage men. But uh, but thinking ahead, here I am. I'm talking about the leaves falling, and they haven't even popped out yet.
Yeah, I know. So Johnny Quest has requested. Uh, he wants us to talk about the correlation coefficient on the radar. So I know,
Hmm.
yes, he wants us to talk about that. Now, I had, to be fair, I had to just kind of refresh my mind uh, to what it is. But basically, it's looking at the radar in terms of the reflectivity, and there is
And
a
how is your DBZ today?
right, exactly. So the ratio. I have a link here that kind of explains it probably a whole lot better than I can. But what it basically says is, in terms of this coefficient or this ratio number, it's a way for you can look at the radar to determine what actually is precipitating and reaching the ground versus what isn't reaching the ground. Or if I remember correctly, the correlation, it's actually the correlation coefficient. Um, uh, if I remember correctly, that when that number is higher than zero point 0.8, that's when you sometimes can see birds and insects showing up on the radar, as opposed to when you get to some of the lower numbers. The range is from 0 to 1.05. So that pretty much covers it. That's an interesting thing because I don't think in all my years anyone's ever really asked me about that. Uh, it's one of those things that you kind of learn about briefly and then you file it away somewhere along with the calculus and everything else. Am I right?
You remember when we were in college and we had to learn this stuff, and as soon as we got the diploma, as
Goodbye.
soon as
Yeah, exactly.
the sheepskin was handed to us, it all came blotching out.
Right. So I'm going to put for those of you who want, here's the link. Here's a link. It's actually, explains it fairly well. So here's there, and I will also put it on the Discord chat. So we'll get it on there. So this way you guys can pick it up and and figure that out. But when you look at the radar, sometimes you can actually see under certain conditions, you'll see flocks of birds on the radar, or sometimes when there's a big fire. When we had the wildfires here, you would wind up seeing the uh, fire itself. I mean, when you watch the radar on the loop, there was a big. I'm trying to remember which fire it was. I happened to be working at it. I think it was the Marcal paper fire in New Jersey back a few years ago, and it was so intense that you could actually see on the radar when you loop the radar from this one spot in northeastern New Jersey, not too far from Newark. I mean, it looked like it almost looked like a giant rain squall or a snow squall, but you'd see the echoes literally as if they were pouring out of this one spot and then spreading out to the southeast, whichever happened. Whatever, I think the prevailing wind that night happened to be northwest, so it was going northwest to southeast, and it'll show up on the radar, and you'll look at it and you'll say, there must be some really incredible snow squalls if it's wintertime or a big, thunderstorm going on. When in reality, it was, I think if I remember correctly, it was during the winter. So you would look at that and think that somebody was getting hammered with a big snow squall. But we know better than that because it doesn't snow around here anymore.
I also remember a kind of a sad incident using the radar, Joe, back in um, February of 2003 when the Columbia space shuttle was coming back to Earth and unfortunately exploded over Texas. And the various weather stations, the various weather radar over Texas and Arkansas were actually picking up on the debris falling out of the sky from the shuttle and showing that as it was not as obviously it was not rain, but it was just the material that was reflecting back to the radar from what was once the shuttle that again blew up or exploded on its way back to Earth.
Yeah, the wildfires, like when you look at wildfires that have occurred in some places, you could also you'll be able to see it come out of the radar. So that by knowing what those what the values are, you can determine whether what's actually really precipitation, what is precipitation that's evaporating before it reaches the ground, virga, or in those instances, as we said, you can pick up sometimes insects, flocks of birds. It's amazing that the radars are that sensitive and they pick it up, but they sure do. So
Oh.
so how about a little Briller Jeopardy as we start to wrap this up tonight?
Before we get to this, and I should have sent this to you before we started the show. I just sent you on Messenger a YouTube video of the Starlink satellite chain or train that will be moving on by tonight. I know a few people have asked on the chat board. I saw a question about it
You just
by the
sent it to
fellow.
me on Messenger because I don't have it.
I sent it to you on I sent it to you on yeah. I sent it to you on Messenger.
Let me see, because it didn't come through. Whatever it. Oh, join our cloud HD Zoom.
I
No,
don't think.
that was the link I sent you yesterday. Send it to me again.
Okay, I will try to do that. And while I'm doing that, what is tonight's? Is it a television related question or is it a meteorological question? Really,
It is. Oh, it's meteorological. So you ready?
yes, sir.
So since 1869, there have been 4 traces of snow in the month of May at Central Park. Name the 4 years, the times that the snow fell, the amount of flakes that were counted.
Wait a minute. This is for when? Since 1860.
So for the month of May, there
Right.
are 4 instances where a trace of snow has fallen, and I got your link, by the way. So
Okay.
I'm just copying it right now. So there are 4 instances where snow fell in the month of May. Can you name those 4 instances? Although one of them is we're gonna wind up getting rid of because it's just wrong. But go on.
Well, yeah, that's it's the one that we were talking about what a couple of weeks ago, May 27th, 1995.
Right. Yeah, that's
That's
ridiculous.
and our friend Bill Goodman over at the National Weather Service cleared that up by telling us that that's not really snow. That was really hail. To which my response to Bill was, "Well, if you're recording hail as snow in May, what are you doing in June, July, and August? All those times when we had hail, right? I
Right.
mean,
No, I agree. So I'm going to pull up the link separately because it's giving me this ridiculous the whole YouTube. So I'm on YouTube now. What's it called?
um, I don't know what the URL is.
No, I
I went
have the
on
URL.
YouTube.
It's SpaceX Starlink. Is that what it's called?
I said star. I just typed in Starlink, which is what it is. It's 60 satellites that are in a train that's moving around the earth, put up by Elon Musk because he has so much money, more money than he knows what to do with.
Okay,
and
so there's like 3 videos here. Um,
anyone that
any one
has
of them? Okay, because when you send it through Messenger, it gives you that Facebook link that's 5 miles long, and it limits you to 200 characters, so I just shortened it up.
you can go on tiny URL.
Yeah, hang
All
on. So I put it also on Discord. So for those of you that are on the Discord board. Okay,
right.
so let's go back to
Three
this question. The
of the four cases in May, one of them we already know is spurious and should be removed, as we agree on that. One of them was 1977.
May
That was
9th, 1977.
1977. And another one, and I only remember this only because it was the year of my birth, May 1st, 1956.
It says here May 1st, 1952.
52? I thought it
Yes,
was 56.
unless you're 4 years older than you claim to be.
No, no,
Well, you sure as hell can't be May 4th, 1946.
no. I thought it was 1956.
No, it says 52.
I'm going to need to look back on this.
Well, the spurious date that Joe and I are talking about, it was May 29th, 1995. That's hail. So
Right,
we're not counting that. And I'm going to have a conversation with Mr. Goodman about this
right.
because I just find it utterly unacceptable
It
that
is.
it is. It's not,
You know who fell? You know who fell for that trap? Lonnie Quinn. He actually made it was like a major announcement, like how many of you know what is the latest snow? And he put up on the on the screen 1995. I did like a double take. I said, Lonnie, how could
I
you?
know.
It's
Well,
1995. And I went to the Upton site
Lonnie's
expecting.
working out of a barn. We got to cut him a little bit of slack right now, okay?
I mean, I go to the Upton site saying, well, let's see what that. And then my eyes blinked. I said, what? And there it is, May 29th, 1995.
Well, you know something? Mount Holly did something. I saw something from Mount Holly today that they finally decided that apparently some rain event, I think back in 2011 or 2012, um, in Delaware, they 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 changed something to make it the rainiest day ever. Let me see if I can find it. I saw this today and I was like, you got to be kidding me! They're doing this now. Uh,
And by the way,
It was
Joe,
on Twitter, and I saw it really quick. But apparently, they did some checking on some, after conferring with all these other different people and observations, we've decided that on this particular day in Delaware, 12 inches of rainfall, making it the rainiest 24 hours on record. I was like, okay, but this was like I think it was 8 or 9 years ago. I don't know. Like I said, it just kind of popped up really fast. Maybe I misread it. There's nothing on their website that talks about this, so
right.
it might be on their Facebook page.
Incidentally, I'm on the Upton. I just got logged onto the Upton site here. And from what I see on the Almanac page, snowfall amount May 1st, 1956. T. Trace. It's 56,
Oh,
not 50.
56.
Yes.
Oh,
I said
okay, well,
the year I was born.
all right. So maybe our Scott made a small error. It does happen sometimes,
It does.
you know.
And also when you do talk to Mr. Goodman, not only does it say trace of snow May 29th, 1995, but under monthly extremes, warmest temperature or warmest average, I guess, 68.7 1991, coolest average 54.3 degrees 1917, wettest 10.24 inches 1989, driest 0.30 1903, snowiest, and they have a trace, but right next to that trace, 1995.
Okay, so I found this one. So we know this is what they said. We know this isn't recent, but after further review with with other what are they now? NFL refs. After further review with other climate partners, we have found that a heavy rain event on September 28th, 29th, 2016 of 12.48 inches officially sets the new daily precip record for the state of Delaware. Harbison, Delaware, 12.48 inches on September 28th and 29th. You, you folks in Harbison, Delaware, that is the rainiest day ever in the state.
Wow, that's a lot of rain.
Not
We had
yeah.
about that much out here. We had about that much during Hurricane Irene back in 2011. My wife left a pitcher of like it was over 12 inches high, and she went outside the next day, and the pitcher was overflowing. So we may even had more than 12 inches.
And not to waste a good pitcher of water, she did the wash in it.
Right.
Well,
Well,
I guess you should be fortunate, Joe, that you don't have a river running in the back of your house. So she'd hand you the laundry with some stones and tell you to go, you know, go clean it that way. So anyway, I think we can wrap that up for tonight. Does that
yeah.
sound good to you?
Did you get that? Did you get that YouTube or?
Yeah, I sent it. I posted it up. I posted it in the chat and I posted it on
Okay.
Discord.
Okay. The time the time to look will be 8:47 this evening. They will come out of a southwesterly direction, peak about one third away up from the southeastern horizon a couple of minutes later, and then they'll move off to the east southeast. If they are visible, then there's no need for me to explain because it'll look like a string of stars just moving or following each other across the sky. The only problem with this is that they're not going to be very bright. They're going to be about a little less than the brightness of a medium bright star. So if you live in an area where there's a lot of lights, a lot of light pollution,
Right.
you may have trouble seeing this. If, however, you live out in the hinterlands or in a dark area where you could see a whole bunch of stars, you should be able to see this train or string of stars moving across the sky again, beginning at 8:47 tonight, and something to look for.
Javon Perry hitting super chat tonight. Thank you very much. Joe and I really appreciate it. Alfred Phillips, it's funny you should post today because yesterday or the day before yesterday, I was sitting around thinking, gee, I haven't heard from Alfred Phillips, who's on the north slope of Alaska, in quite a while. And of course, it's now spring up there with the lengthening daylight. And actually, the reason why he even came to mind was because I've been watching Planet Earth on the BBC channel over the last week. It was basically Earth Week, so it was nothing but David Attenborough, night and day, 24/7, pretty much. And so they did this whole thing about the stuff, the wildlife up in Alaska. And I started thinking, we haven't heard from Alfred in a while, so it's good. You're there. You haven't frozen from the winter, one of your coldest winters you've had in Alaska in quite a while. It's nice to see you on board. And Scott Brewer, thank you for hitting Super Chat tonight. Joe and I really appreciate it greatly. Thank you. So now we can say goodnight. So we'll be back tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
We'll be back in the gloom again tomorrow.
Gloom and doom. Well, we'll see how bad. Okay, so have a great night, everybody, and stay safe, social distancing, yada yada yada. Hopefully, this is going to be over soon because you know what? I'm gonna start. My hair's not growing as fast as it usually does because I'm a good 2 months from my last buzz cut, and it hasn't really gotten out of control yet. And you notice my color is really good too.
Yeah.
You know.
Mine is getting a little long around the ears, but yeah, I think we could all use a nice.
Well, yeah, no, I got the clippers. I'm just kind of afraid to do it myself. So anyway,
you just have to go down to Georgia then.
What's that?
Go down to Georgia.
Well, it's kind of a long drive for a haircut.
Well,
I mean, I'll have to. My daughter's not going to let me in the house right now because they're, apparently, what she was telling me, and a few of my friends that are down there were telling me that even though they've opened up a few things, most places, even the ones that are being allowed to open up early, have not opened up yet. So it's not quite as open as you might think. And I'm a little bit too old to get a tattoo, and I ain't going to no massage parlor. So you and I are both at the age when it comes to that sort of stuff. It's like, let's go to bed.
We're long past that.
Yes, we don't do that. We don't do those things. Okay. Have a great, although that blackmailer that keeps sending me.
Would you please?
It's my claim to fame. I'm being blackmailed. I have to get Perry.
And my wife, I told my wife this, and you probably do get this too, Joe. Like almost every day, 1 or 2 times, I get something on my professional page asking if they could post ads on my page. I could make as much as $2,000 or $3,000.
Yeah, no, those are scams because then once you give them, they want your account information, so they go into Facebook and then they run up. They go in there, and if you've got a business page set up, there's a way to fleece you out of money. So
right.
yeah, those are all fake.
I told my wife, I said, this is a scam. I don't even bother looking at them. I delete them immediately. And she was saying something like, said, oh, well, maybe it's not. Let me take a look at it. I'm interested. I said, don't get involved.
Yeah, no, the ones that said look, if it's a legit website, it's a legit website, a company. usually you have to go to them rather than them going to you. So yeah, there's so much crap. And you know what? It's so easy to be fooled by some of the stuff. I mean, I often wonder with older folks that are on the computer, they get these phishing emails from banks, and I get emails supposedly from banks that I don't even have accounts in.
Correct.
So, by the way, Dennis Cassia, it's Corpus Juris Secundum, okay, which is the second book of the body of law, is what that is. And I want to tell you something. That was kind of tough because when I was the credits rolling, where I could see the uh, I could see the word corpus and I could see the word juris. I couldn't quite see the word secundum. So I had to go up next to the screen and turn my head sideways because of how the books are laid in the closing credits of Perry Mason. And that's what it says. And it means it means second body of law.
You didn't have to do this in the very first season. The only thing you could do with the first season is look at the commercials in the lower left-hand octagon,
Right.
uh, including Beads O' Bleach,
Beats
which I
bleach.
vaguely remember
Yes.
as a young boy.
Yep, that's yeah. There's a lot of I actually when you see some of the old shows in their original formats with their original opens and closes, uh, they're uh, they're different from what they showed in some of the ones that went out in syndication. They would cut separate opens for those when they went into syndication. So the originals had all these advertising logo prints on them that were kind of cool to see.
And there were three cases that went against Perry in the
Yes.
years it was on. It might have been actually four. I saw an episode this morning, caught the last few minutes or whatever, and Hamilton Berger came up to Perry after Perry had just exploded the whole case or whatever like that. But before all that happened, the jury actually had a vote as to whether or not the person on the stand was guilty or not. And Hamilton Berger had it in his hand, gave it to Perry, said, "You might be interested in seeing this." This was what they voted on before this whole thing. And Perry said, "Oh, you know what I'm going to do with this?" And he took a match and lit it, up in
Well,
flames.
he did lose the three case. He lost one jury trial case, and I think the other two were civil cases that he lost in the whatever episodes they were, because there's so many of them. Anyway, let's call it a night. We started calling it a night 20 minutes ago. It's now almost 8 o'clock. Good night, everybody.
90